Anytime an open world game comes across my desk, I'm going to have to give it a try. It doesn't matter if it's a fantasy game, a science fiction game, or in this case, a modern day shooter. I figured, what the hell, I'll give it a shot, put it in my Is It Worth It series. And after giving this game its fair shot, pun intended, I'd like to think that this game has some core elements that I enjoy, but a lot of stuff I don't enjoy. And whether or not it's going to be worth it to you is entirely subjective. We're going to dive into that today. I'm Tim Anderson, also known as Renfail, and welcome to my review of Ghost Recon Wildlands. Before we get any further, this is the chance to thank all of the supporters I have across YouTube and Patreon. They're the people who keep this channel alive and keep me going as a full-time content creator. More on that at the end if you would like to become a supporter as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow along with that bell icon if you'd like to get more videos like this delivered to your inbox every time I've got something that becomes available. Full disclosure here, I probably would not have played this game had it come across my desk at any other point in time, but since it was part of the Xbox Game Pass for the month, I figured, what the hell, I'll give it a shot. And I am glad I did, because at the end of the day, I did enjoy this game overall. It had a lot of elements that I was familiar with. I have to admit, I've never played any of the previous Ghost Recon titles. Having played it now for quite a bit of time, I would say the one takeaway I have is that if you like the Assassin's Creed style of games, then you're probably going to like this game. It has a lot of the same elements in the sense that you have a core storyline mission that you can go through and kind of follow along with the cartel, taking out the bosses, which is very similar to what you've seen in the past few Assassin's Creed games, starting with Origins and then leading up to Valhalla, in the sense that you have the tree of bad guys that you're going to work your way up, chopping the head off of one snake after the other until finally you reach the end boss. There's also, of course, side missions, which you can do in plenty, to the point where you can probably run yourself ragged, which I usually do in the Assassin's Creed games. When I traditionally start those games, I always have the intention to do a completionist run, and I will get maybe 2 months into my completionist run and 100 hours in, and I always give up on that and just finish the main storyline off so I could be done with the damn thing. Because at some point, there is such thing as too much of a good thing, and as much as we all say we want lots and lots of open world content, when it's just the repeatable, regurgitated quests that often come with being fetch quests, I tend to get bored of those very, very quickly. Now, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in this game that make it different than Assassin's Creed. First and foremost, this is a modern day shooter, and you do have a squad with you as opposed to just you and yourself and I. Um, as a result, you do have some very basic components of squad maneuverability and squad commands when you are on your own playing single player. And then if you have some friends that you're going to be playing co-op with, or if you're playing multiplayer, you can of course all be doing your individual things within a squad of 4 players. The vehicle component to this game was something that I actually found quite interesting, because every vehicle has its own series of pros and cons. Like, some of them have high maneuverability, but you can only fit one additional squad mate in the car. There's motorcycles, which have the highest level of mobility, but it's just you. And then you have various types of large vehicles that can fit your whole squad, ranging from a van that you can pick up on the side of the road. You can grab a station wagon. You can get an armored vehicle, and all of these have different levels of maneuverability and speed as well, which comes in handy when you're trying to navigate the back roads, which I am not very successful at because I suck at driving with the controller. But be that as it may, this was one aspect that I did find intriguing, because it did add sort of this level of reality to the game, in the sense that if you just want to hijack somebody off the side of the road and grab their car, you could totally do that, but it might be something that's just a piece of crap. But sometimes it's needed if you just want to get off the road and get under cover and not be discovered. There's also the helicopters. which I found to be the coolest aspect of this game for me, especially once I found an armored helicopter from the local sort of police force unit, the Unilad, I think is what they were called, because it had guns and it's armored. And so you can get this thing up in the air with your squad mates and you can just run around and go to the next compound on the map and basically just mow the enemies down from above and also have your squad firing at the same time. And it didn't necessarily make it easy because they can call in reinforcements and you'll get other helicopters coming in and fighting with you. But it did definitely reduce the difficulty level for a lot of the early game missions when I stumbled across one of these armored helicopters and I was able to basically fly around the map and do easy mode for 5 or 6 missions. It was quite glamorous, to be honest with you. The other interesting thing, of course, is the crashing of the vehicles. I found that to be quite amusing in the sense that you can crash your vehicles and eventually blow them up if you're a little too crazy. Um, and some of the other components to this that you should keep in mind is that you have some missions. If you're playing on easy mode like I did just for the storyline, you can kind of cakewalk through most of this stuff, but you do actually have to pay attention to certain checkpoints during missions. Like if you have a stealth mission where you're supposed to remain stealthy for the whole time, you will actually need to be stealthy even if you're on easy mode because if you break stealth, it just breaks the mission. You have to restart. Potentially, one of the major downfalls for me was the dialogue is atrocious. Like, it is some of the worst dialogue I have ever, ever, ever seen in a game before. And also the mix of Spanish with English. As a Spanish speaker myself, the Spanglish was quite horrific, and the accents for some of the people who were playing these Spanish speaking roles was just ridiculously laughable. But beyond that, if you can overlook those things, I think this is a pretty standard sort of Assassin's Creed style shooter, which offers a lot of multiplayer components if you have a co-op team that you can play with, or if you just want to do a solo open world thing, you can, and you can go it alone in storyline mode, and you can do various levels of difficulty. I obviously just did story mode, which is the easiest mode possible because I just wanted to experience a little bit of the gameplay to be able to do this review. Again, full disclosure, I got this as part of Xbox Game Pass. I think if I had to give this game a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, I would put it around a 6. Is it worth it? I think that largely depends on whether or not you enjoy this type of game. Again, the gameplay itself is fairly fun. It does offer some pretty beautiful environments, but overall, I found the writing being really bad, the voice acting not being that great, the overall story being sort of meh. We've seen this before in a lot of Assassin's Creed games. It felt to me, honestly, like it was just they took the Assassin's Creed model and slapped a modern shooter skin on top of it and gave you some squad mates and called it good. So as a result, I don't think I would have paid money for this. I don't think I would recommend paying money for this. If you can get it at a discount or if you can get it through Game Pass, then sure, it's going to be something you might want to play through if you've got an extra 30, 40 hours to just go through the main storyline. From that perspective, I think this game is definitely worth it if you enjoy a shooter type project with multiplayer aspects, a little bit of Assassin's Creed thrown in there. I think it's about a 6 out of 10 for me. Don't forget, if you want to support the channel like the rest of these amazing folks, just check out the links below. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next video. Happy gaming, everyone. Safe travels.